What's up, everybody? Today I'm here to talk about Ghostbusters Afterlife. I had a chance to watch it last night, so it's very fresh in my mind. And what can I say right off the bat? I had a great time, even though this is definitely not a perfect film. This will be a non-spoiler review at first, and when I get to the spoilers, I will let you know, so don't worry. First, just my overall thoughts. This is what I gotta say. We knew that the original cast would return. We had seen reports about it. This was not a secret. And what I was very pleased with this film, the way they handled the original cast. And I left that theater and my heart was just warm. You know, the third act, in my opinion, even though it wasn't perfect, it was very strong, and it was very, it really paid homage to what came before. And I even had goosebumps thinking about it, because I love Ghostbusters. I think this film works for the fans. You know, there's a lot of Easter eggs, and I'm not so sure how the newer audience will accept this film if they don't have those references. But even for them, I think it works. I think despite all the mistakes that they made in this film, the heart was in the right place. So if you don't know, this film was directed by the son of the original director of Ghostbusters. And you could tell this is definitely his own take on it, but it was so respectful of what came before. And I just wish this was done with Star Wars as well, because my biggest gripes with the newer Star Wars film is how they treated the original cast. I didn't have this problem here. It was done perfectly. You know, I was tearing up towards the very end. But oh my God, I don't even want to think about Ghostbusters 2016, that atrocity that should never have been made. This one is definitely going in the right direction. Now, there are a lot of problems in this film for sure. Like, for instance, I thought that the beginning of the film was very strong. It started off with a great scene, and I was so, we're in for a treat, in my opinion. That's how I felt. But after that, then we get to be introduced to all the newer characters, and the pacing is very slow. And I don't have a problem with movies that take their time to build things. I like that. And I like the building up, but certain parts were a little bit off, in my opinion. Like, it suffered in pacing. There was some editing that was a little bit confusing to me, and I was like, I would not have put this here. I would have done it in a different way. But it was beautifully shot. The cinematographer looked great. The visual effects are definitely great, but they do use practical effects, which is also pretty cool, but it might look off to newer audiences. However, if you look at, the dog, can you call it a dog or a demon from the original Ghostbusters? He's back, and he's just the same way because he's a practical effect. So that was sweet. I liked it, but it may look a bit off to newer audiences. Not the whole thing. I mean, there's so many references to original Ghostbusters that I thought it was amazing. However, like I was talking about, the very beginning, after that amazing first scene, I think they did not really do a good job. Like, there's a certain event that happens that after that event, in my opinion, the movie should just have the action should start there because of that event. But it seems to me that people went back to their lives as if that event didn't happen, and that was very confusing. So I was like, when that happened, I was a little bit concerned. I was like, oh no, it was doing so well, and now this is getting me a little bit worried. Now, before I watched this film, I think I saw Jeremy Jones' review, and maybe it was him or somebody else, I'm not sure. I saw 2-3 reviews before I watched the film, which I usually never do, because I only watch reviews after I saw the film, because I'm so scared of spoilers. But one of these reviews said that this film didn't know if it wanted to be Stranger Things or Ghostbusters, and I think that's a lot because of that beginning, and I agree. There's a lot about the kids, even though the kids are amazing. I mean, Phoebe, the main character, she was carrying this film for sure, and she was brilliant. She was amazing. Loved her. There is also her friend called Podcast. That boy is hilarious. Then we have Finn Wolfhard. I think his name in the film is Trevor. His character didn't have much to do, but he was part of the gang. Phoebe was the main person, and she was adorable, and she could definitely carry this film in a good way. obviously she's related to one of the Ghostbusters. I think you already can guess who, because she's just the spitting image of him. However, I gotta say, before they got to the end, there's a lot of build up to certain things, and the ending was a little bit too fast. It's like I wanted more, so maybe that is a good thing, but I feel like they could have given us more towards the end. And like I said, I was tearing up because they paid homage to the original cast, to the original film, to that story, and I think that was the way to do it. This is part of the same universe. And before I head into the spoiler part, I just wanted to say this film has 2 end credit scenes. I will discuss them in the spoiler section, but the first one, mid-credit scene, it doesn't really add anything to the story, but it does show that you are in this universe of Ghostbusters. So there are characters that we already know. And the very end credit scene is the one that is really setting up for a sequel. So definitely wait until the end to watch those 2 end credit scenes. Now heading over to the spoiler section. Let's talk about spoilers. So there was an event, the movie starts off really strong with, we have Spengler. I always get their names wrong because I remember them in Portuguese, but Spengler, yes. Egon Spengler is, it starts off with him, but obviously we don't see his face because, Howard is no longer with us. It doesn't start off with his face, but it's hinted that that's him on this farm. And if you saw the trailer, the whole movie is going to take place not in New York, but in this small town in the middle of nowhere. And the movie starts off with him, and then we get to see how he dies and all of that. And that was a really strong scene. I was like, oh, we're in for a treat. After that, we are introduced to the characters. We see the mom and the Phoebe. She was a great character. She was the best in this film. And all of that I liked. And then we also get to see Paul Rudd's character, that he is definitely just a really great... I liked the character. And he was basically like Rick Moranis. He was basically the Ricky Moranis from the original film. That's what he was doing. He was not as goofy, but he was sort of that character. And he was a teacher, right? And there is a scene in which all the kids, they're already they figure out all the gadgets. They're already because the Egon's ghost is kind of helping Phoebe, his granddaughter, around the house and figuring things out. So that's how they explain how the kids are able to do what they're already doing. Because you would think a kid, when they get around old technology, they don't have a clue what they're doing, and Phoebe, she did have a clue of what she was doing because she's sort of a scientist, and they explained that the ghost of her grandfather Egon is with her, and that's why she's able to figure things out. I bought it. I think it's fine. But there's an event that I didn't really understand. So they release a ghost. So I don't understand. This was my biggest issue. And I was concerned after that scene because it seems like Egon's ghost leads Phoebe to find the, what is the proton? No, that really that gadget where they trap all the trapper, where they trap the ghosts, right? So he leads her to that. Then she finds it and takes to school. And then her, along with Podcast, which was a hilarious character, by the way, along with Paul Rudd's character, which I don't remember his name in the film, they release this monster, right? And I was like, okay, so that didn't make much sense. Why would Egon do that? But okay, that happened. But what I really didn't like is that once that happens, they all go back to their lives as if that didn't happen. I think Paul Rudd goes on a date with Phoebe's mom, and they're just acting normal. And then weird things are happening around there. They're just like, oh, I wonder what that is. So to me, that didn't make much sense. I would have done that in a different way. For instance, I thought that once they release that monster, the action should pick up exactly from there. They should not have had that time to go and figure other things out. They should have immediately try to, oh my God, we just released the monster. What are we going to do now? But it felt like after that happened, they all went back as if that didn't happen. I was a little bit confused, so I didn't like that, and I was like, oh my God, now it's in trouble. So that's where the pacing issue happened to me, because that was like a big moment, and then everything slowed down. It was slow again. And then obviously we had the whole keymaster, are you the gatekeeper and the key master or something like that? I forgot the name, but anyways, so that scene, it's sort of like the Sigourney Weaver and Ricky Moranis. That was hilarious. It was good to see that. And then we have the introduction of Gozer again. We had C. Gozer in the original film. I thought Gozer was a little bit weak in comparison to the original, mostly because I don't know, if a monster has been trapped for a very long time, I would think that once he was liberated, the first thing this monster would want to do is cause destruction right away. But it seems like Gozer was taking his time or her time, you know, because apparently we don't know what he is. She looks like a she, in my opinion, but anyways, that doesn't matter. So Gozer is taking her time. That was a little bit off, but it's just a little, nitpicking here, because then we have the original cast returning, and not only the ones that are alive, but they paid a awesome homage to Harold. And not only that, you know, we see his ghost. He doesn't speak, but it's so emotional. You know, when they're all the four of them together, I think I'm gonna tear up here. It was beautifully done, you know, and the Ghostbusters, they arrive right at the very moment where Gozer is about to basically kill off the kids and all of that. So they arrive and they help them. They're all together, actually, are able to trap Gozer again. And there's a scene where you see all the four together, and that was amazing. I loved that. And I was like, oh my God. And then when he's like hugging his daughter, the camera pans up and he disappears into the stars, and it's written for Harold. And I was like, oh, that is beautifully done. I wanted to cry. And I thought, yes, that's how you do emotional payoff, you know. I love that part, and I thought that to me was what saved the film, even though I was a little disappointed with Gozer, and I wish that they had came in a little bit earlier in the film, but you know, they were there, and you know, Bill Murray was Bill Murray. They were all back, and they were just brilliant. So I felt that towards the very end. Oh, by the way, there are 2 end credit scenes, and the last credit scene, you know, is the one that is really showing that this franchise, they have an intention to move this franchise forward. That is amazing, you know. It really means that, if this movie does well, which I hope it does, there's potential for other films, you know. I love that the first end credit scene is mostly sort of just like a joke between Sigourney Weaver and Bill Murray, and it's just like, that's great. It's not really something that adds anything to the story, but it shows that these people exist in this universe. They're back, and they're just who they were in the original Ghostbusters. So I love that. And obviously at the very end, Winston gets the Ecto-1. He wants to, you know, he brings it back to, he's a business person, really successful, and I love that it appears that he's going to fix the Ecto-1 again. I think he's gonna buy the firehouse, and that's where the whole thing is gonna continue. Obviously, I feel like the kids are way too young to really become the new Ghostbusters, but it's implied that they can really help. And it feels like the original cast will definitely be back for the other film. We get to see Annie Potts talking to, you know, Winston, Janine, right? And it was just so nice to see. I think they really tied up the film in a nice little bow. I thought it showed that it was a love letter to the fans. I think it was very respectful, and I definitely want to buy this film. I had a great time, and I want to watch it again. Maybe I'll go watch it again tonight. I definitely recommend. So yes, I don't think it's a perfect film. I would say out of a 10, I probably give it a strong 8. even though that mistake at the beginning with the whole pacing and stuff deserved it to be a little less, but just like the payoff, the homage to Howard, seeing the characters back in a way that they didn't destroy the characters or just like make fun of them. No, it was just very respectful. I loved the whole thing. Guys, go watch Ghostbusters Afterlife. This movie was a lot of fun. Definitely recommend. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that thumbs up, subscribe for more, and I'll see you next time.